So as we're thinking about that state-federal power balance, I do think we should spend more of a minute on Texas and the gerrymandering battle. So we'll take a quick break and do that. If you took a news break with us over the past 2 weeks, it might be helpful to just circle up on what's been happening in Texas. At the president's request, Texas Republicans have proposed drawing new districts. So state legislators draw the districts that elect our federal representatives. And usually that's done in connection with a new census. Hey, we have new information about our population. We're going to draw new districts. Texas Republicans have said, you know what? How about now, without a new census and in advance of the midterm elections, let's see if we can change the lines to create 5 or so more Republican-leaning seats in the federal House of Representatives.
I think that was such a fair and nuanced take. They're just trying to cheat. I do want to be clear that I am both not letting my anxiety get away from me and also want to be very clear and speak clearly when I'm really pissed off about some of the extreme measures they're taking. They're cheating. The GOP holds a 5-seat majority. They're worried they're going to lose it fair and square in the midterms, so they want to cheat and redraw the districts 5 years early. And when I say redraw the districts, what I mean is draw the districts to eliminate 5 Democratic seats, 5 powerfully held Democratic seats, like literally drawing a line to connect San Antonio and Austin so they can just put all those Democrats in one seat and eliminate a Democratic House of Representative member. It's using the process to get the outcome you want instead of just campaigning and making a better case to the American people. Am I being unfair?
No, I'm of several minds about this. I find this really complicated and frustrating. The first thing is it offends me. The whole notion of partisan gerrymandering offends me because people still have agency. If you don't like this, the most effective thing that you can do is get everyone you know to go out and vote against people who try to treat you like a data point instead of a human being who is worth persuading in the next election. Because that's what this is in my mind. Republicans know that with complete control of the federal government, they have not been able to make people's lives better. And they, in fact, have enacted a lot of legislation that people know, polling shows people understand, makes their lives worse or threatens to. And so instead of going out and making the case that we're actually doing good for you, we're actually serving you, they want to rely on people voting according to historic patterns or not voting at all, and just redrawing the lines to give themselves an advantage with that playing field. So on the most base level, no matter who's doing it, I hate treating voters as data points instead of trying to just draw districts that allow for fair representation and take an advantage that way. And it is true that both parties do it, and it is true that Republicans in this instance are doing it for the most blatant reason possible.
Yeah, there's not a lot of moral high ground when it comes to partisan gerrymandering. But it's voting for people, I don't think is actually going to get it done. I think state by state, we're all going to have to figure out what mountain we have to climb to get bipartisan neutral gerrymandering commissions. Like, it's just other states have done it. They've accomplished it. It will be of varying levels of difficulty, but if we're going to go to state control, then I guess we're all just going to have to fight this individual battle. Nobody's coming to save us, not the Supreme Court or anybody else. And this is a broken, jacked up system. And it's infuriating. It contributes to people's complete cynicism towards American politics. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating. And also at the same time, like, I'm not mad at the Democratic states who are like, I guess we'll fight fire with fire. Like, I don't know what to do in the meantime while we're all spending 10 years of our lives trying to get these commissions through state Supreme Courts and state houses and state senates that will cheat to try to kill these commissions just as much as they'll cheat to try to draw these bullshit districts. Ugh.
It's really tough because Republicans are political cheaters has been part of Democratic messaging since Bush versus Gore. And
it's not just messaging, though. They do cheat. They've been doing it in North Carolina for nigh on a decade.
fair, conceded. Also hasn't been effective, right?
Ugh.
It hasn't been effective. And we got a large percentage of the populace in both parties that think, you know what? It is just a partisan death match, and let's do it. I want fighters. I want people who will go to the wire and push the extremes and do whatever we can to take our advantage when we have the power. And that worries me. And I do not feel that. I am sad that in New York, Kathy Hochul is talking about rolling back that progress toward more neutral district drawing in order to counter what's happening in Texas. I think this is sad and wrong. And what I really want is for somebody to come out and make the case to voters. They are trying to do this because they don't want to have to persuade you. They don't want to have to stand on their records. They don't want to have to spend time with you, getting to know you, understanding your concerns. They want to rest on the idea that you prefer Coke to Pepsi politically, right? And that they're just going to take as many of you as they can. And I hate it. It makes me so angry and sad.
Well, it's just a demographic game. It's not even about, I don't know how much it is about politics or, because it's this thing, it's a risk. Who knows if this is actually going to work? People move, man. That's why you only take the census 10 years, although apparently Donald Trump's going to change that too. I don't know how much the polite professional approach to politics exists anymore in this media environment. I just don't. I'm trying to let that go. I'm trying to think, is that real? It's not real right now. It just isn't. I don't know. I hate it. I wish it was different. Right now, going into these midterms, the idea that there's going to be some sort of polite professional politics or approach to campaigns that existed in the West Wing era is not, it's a dream. Like, I don't know how that exists right now inside the Trump administration's extreme approach to politics. And until a presidential where the tone can really get reset, I don't know.
I fully disagree with you about this because I believe that life is about contrast. And I think that trying to act more like Republicans in tactics provides no contrast. I think that this story in Texas could be about Texas Republicans trying to cheat because the agenda is so unpopular. And that is the story. When Democrats break quorum and Gavin Newsom gets involved, and Texas Democrats breaking quorum and then going to Chicago, like, just reinforces everything people think about the parties. And I think it sends everybody back into their camps. Okay, I guess it's just a death match. It's just a partisan death match. And so we're gonna settle in and we're gonna try to win because that's what we do. I want someone who can make a different case. I just want someone who can present some contrast. And I think people will gravitate toward it. I think that's why you see the representative from Texas, James Tallarico, surging in popularity, because that man is a genuine contrast to Donald Trump. And I think contrast can break through more than more of the same.
Well, let me clarify. This isn't because I want them to fight like Republicans fight. That's not what I mean. We do have a chicken and the egg problem, a little bit. Do Republicans act like this because they've adapted more quickly and, I don't know, beneficially to the changes in our media environment? Or did the changes in our media environment force them to adapt? I don't know. That's a question for historians. What I'm saying is, like, our current media environment is miles away from the media environment that built that polite, professional West Wing approach to politics, right? That's gone. I just think it's gone for now. And I don't see any individual House member. I don't really even see the Democratic Party, a state governor, forging some new path before the midterms in which we become a study in conflict. Because I don't think it's in response to how they do it. I think they're responding to the media environment. And for better or for worse, that is the media environment we all exist in. And so that's what I don't see, and maybe it's a limitation of my own vision and creativity and understanding of politics. But it's like every time, again, I know I'm like a broken record, but it was like 6 times over the break, we're watching something from like the 80s or 90s, and guess who comes up? Donald Trump. And every time that happens to me, I think, right, this is different. This is a different universe that we live in. This is not mid-century Walter Cronkite, the news hour. That ain't it. That's gone for now. And so I just think like that's the environment we live in. That's the environment every politician who's going to run for office lives in. That's what you have to be responsive to. You have to acknowledge that reality. And so I'm just trying to hold that together and inside all of these stories, particularly this gerrymandering one.
Agreed. I don't contest any of that. I'm not trying to be naive about it. What I think that Republicans have done that has been so effective in terms of media is that they have created the media that suits their tactics and vice versa. It is chicken and egg. Like, I don't know why it's effective. That is something beyond media. That's something about the public. That's something about our attention spans. It's something about our values. It's something about the way we view ourselves versus the community. What I think is the opportunity for Democrats is to do the same thing. Create the media environment that you want within your own party and see what's more attractive. A really interesting dynamic happening right now in media, to me, is that with long-form podcasts, and especially the kind that made such a difference in this election and that have been written about ad nauseum, it's like they aren't loyal to a party as much as they're sort of interested in being contrarian and getting to the thing that's out there and the thing that they aren't telling you. Beneath that Walter Cronkite professionalized media that had a lot of merit was also the ability to conceal a lot of really bad things. And we're chipping away at that gradually in this new Wild West where everyone can be an influencer around how people understand what's happening in the world. And so, as you see people like Representative Tallarico go on a Joe Rogan, and there's this long form, and his personality is just hanging out there everywhere, there is an opportunity to say, we have the more attractive vision. We have the more attractive way to be in the world, just as a human. Wouldn't you rather hang out with me than someone who is just so angry all the time? So I don't know. I would like to see experimentation, and I think we are seeing experimentation. I'm not mad at what anybody's doing. I understand what's going on with Gavin Newsom. I understand what's going on with Andy Beshear. I think, what's going on with J.B. Pritzker. Like, I get the moves that people are making. I think that experimentation is healthy. But I also think there is a real lane for somebody to come in and disrupt all the lessons that we think we've learned from Donald Trump about what the public wants. And I hope that lots of people will do that.
I don't think the public wants one thing. I think that's what's so hard.
Absolutely.
I think some people do want to be angry. And that is absolutely what Donald Trump tapped. And I think some people want to be distracted. And I think that's the really hard thing. And are we talking to Democrats? Are we talking to persuadable people in the middle who don't identify as Democrats or Republicans? This decentralization is what, in every aspect, the decentralization of governmental power, the decentralization of media, the decentralization of our culture and attention. It's not just news media that you can get a million different inputs from. It's music, it's TV, it's movie, it's books, it's everything. And isn't that probably well and good and right and accurate for a country of 330 million very, very different people. Yes, but it is so hard. It's something Donald Trump can't always lasso either. You can see the rein slipping in so many areas where he just can't, well, I'll just roll out the National Guard again. That'll do it. And that doesn't do it anymore the way it used to do it. You can see it with Epstein. You can see it in all these different places where it's so unwieldy, he can't even get his arms around it. And I think I'm just trying to face that unwieldiness and saying, this is the reality of, early 21st century America, is it's going to be big and decentralized. And if we want one answer on what the problem is and what the solution is, then we are dreaming, because there's not going to be one. And there's not even going to be one political message, even if we get all the way to the presidential, that hits and unites us all. I just don't know. I'm just trying to let go of that dream, because I think it is that. I think it is a dream.
I do think what's possible is being really self-critical about what you are trying to do. What is the goal of my action? I think that this breaking quorum with Texas Democrats is for the base Democrats in Texas and nationally, right? If you are a hardcore Democrat who thinks Republicans are cheaters, that Trump is the worst, that this is clearly about trying to steal the midterm elections, then you're going to go, amazing. I'm so glad that they left. Stick it to Governor Abbott. Make them come arrest you. But as you're doing it, that probably the result here is that this map is going to get passed. And so you've taken this risk of doing this thing to fire up your base that will ultimately disappoint those same people. Maybe they'll still say, well, you gave it the college try and that's what I wanted from you. But that action to me is not designed for swing voters. That is not designed to bring more people in the Democratic tent. It is not to educate more people about partisan gerrymandering. And so choose whatever you choose. Different calculations are going to be appropriate at different times. I'm not in Texas. I don't know what's really needed there right now. But I do know, sitting here, that I don't think swing voters are going to look at this and see a contrast between the two parties that motivates them in a healthy way as we go into the midterms.